this morning we're going to have a terrific opportunity to get to not only know somebody who has endeared himself in our hearts with his performance on stage recently in The Sound of Music as Captain George Von Trapp in The Sound of Music, but also Bobby Sylvia, ladies and gentlemen, is somebody who has that spark of life. He embraces it, and you know what? It ain't his first rodeo on that horse. He does not allow that horse to throw him off. And if so, we'll find out how he dusts himself off and gets up again. Bobby Sylvia is my very special guest, and it really is. It's wonderful to have you with us.
Well, thank you so much, Phil. I mean, when I came in here and I saw you again, and we started picking up the conversation right where we left it off, I don't know how many months ago. I mean, it's always the same. And I described you as a bolt of lightning. I mean, the way you just described me is a great honor coming from, a hero of mine along those lines.
Oh, my goodness, Bobby. For folks who saw you for the first time and actually, just admired you, fell in love with the person that you were portraying, we want to get to know who you are as a person. So let's begin with Fall River, Massachusetts, and you take it from there.
Okay, well, Fall River, Massachusetts is where I was born. I was born at St. Anne's Hospital, but I didn't grow up in Fall River, Massachusetts. I just have a lot of history with Fall River because of the theater group there, the Fall River Little Theater, or the Little Theater of Fall River. I've done quite a few shows with them. I'm kind of, known as one of their leading male actors among many really good leading male actors that are there with that group. But I grew up right next door to Fall River in Tiverton, Rhode Island. I grew up right at Tiverton Four Corners, right next door to Gray's Ice Cream. Mm-hmm. In fact, Gray's Ice Cream was our family business when I was growing up. My dad and his cousin owned Gray's Ice Cream from the mid-'60s into the early '80s, mid-'80s.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how they raised their families. My dad and his cousin, that's how they raised their families. And,
sure.
And I'm one of 8 kids. So, we were always on the edge because, owning a little family store is not exactly a way to rake in the dough and raise a family of 8. But, what we all learned as kids is how to piece together an existence, and especially the business aspect of that. You carve out your own way of doing things.
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's so important to be able to piece those squares together, because in life you're going to need them to survive.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you become a victim. You're not a victim. You are not only a survivor, you are a pace setter.
Wow.
Yeah, you are. What is it about? Where do you get your inspiration when you're let's see, you're an engineer, right?
That's what I went to college for. That's my bread and butter, backbone of my, let's say, career, my income. Yeah.
Now, what inspired you to go into, is it electrical engineering?
Yep.
Okay.
It was just interest. When I was a little kid, I used to ask for toys like the Radio Shack 101-in-1 kit, where you get this project kit and you can do 101 things with it, and it's all wires and springs and resistors and relays, and I loved that when I was a kid. I was drawn to that.
You still do?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah. I like messing around with that kind of stuff. I like the problem solving. It's puzzles. It's all little puzzles.
Yeah. And so that inspired you on that side. How about on the performance side of Bobby Sylvia?
Well, I can actually tell you exactly when I knew that I wanted to perform, at least on stage.
Wow.
It was when I was I think I was about 8 years old. And my older brother, Mark, was starring as Hawkeye in MASH with the Tiverton High School Drama Club, directed by Dahlia Pucci, I think, actually, if she's listening. And Mark, my brother, and a bunch of his friends were in the drama club together. So I was a young guy watching these guys practice their lines and all that kind of stuff at home. And then I go to the show with my parents, and I'm sitting in the audience, and I'm seeing the stuff they were doing in the living room being performed up there on the big stage with like 800 people in the audience, and everybody's laughing, everybody's, getting sad as well.
Sure.
Basically, everybody's getting entertained.
Yeah.
And my brother, the guy I know what this guy's really all about. He's up there playing that part of Hawkeye, and it's like it's a real person up there. That character for that moment is a real person up there in the minds of the audience, and that is true entertainment, and that's live. And I remember as a kid going, I am going to do that. I am going to do that.
What a fabulous memory that is, because you're so right, Bobby. You know, many times it's either a book or something on stage or something that inspires a person, regardless of how old they are, right, their age, to change the course of their lives. Art does this. We talked about it yesterday, about how literature can change the course of people's lives, thinking and all of that. So you went on in your performance. By the way, if you're just joining us, Bobby Sylvia, yes, folks, he is right here. And yes, I know you love him so much. We do too here. You are performing in a band. You just recently left stage with Sound of Music. I understand that you are the spokesperson on television in Ireland for a very well-known insurance company. You have dozens of commercials. You've been in so many films. Bobby, this is awesome. You're a starburst. Why? How can you do these things and balance life at the same time, your work?
Well, it's funny. You go down that list of things, and I'm shocked listening to it because it does. I'm not always going over that roster in my head of all of these things. All I do is follow my interests.
Wow.
You know, so a project comes down the pike that seems cool. I haven't done it before, or maybe I have done it before and I'd like to improve upon it, or whatever is like kind of like appropriate at the time, you know?
Sure.
So I don't do a lot of hunting unless I'm bored, and man, I haven't been bored in 20 years. I don't really know what that feels like, you know? I do get the blues. I get the blues after a show. I call it the post-show blues.
Sure.
You know, like especially after Sound of Music. This production of the Sound of Music was a very, very, very special coming together of the cast and the crew and George and Armin. It starts up there at the top, you know, and with Michael Susko, the director, coming back over and over, and Linda Johnston and Juan Rodriguez on the musical side. All of the pieces that just came together so beautifully, and then to execute such a warm, family-oriented, lovely story. You know, after that ends, you feel it, and I did, and I felt that.
I want to get into it in just a moment, but before we do that, talk about the chemistry of, again, bringing the little transistors and the little pieces and this and that. See, this is a metaphor for who you are. Bringing all of those together is what you do as an engineer, but you also did this on stage. All of the chemistry, all of the different personalities, and all of the different levels of talents and whatnot were brought together. Describe what that was like, being in the center of all of that kind of a talent, Bobby.
Well, playing a lead character, you're speaking specifically of the Sound of Music?
Yes.
Okay. the story definitely follows Maria's path, but the role of the captain. If you notice when you see the show, and it could be, and this time around paying particular attention to it, playing the captain. When the captain is not on the stage, and he's only on about half the show, maybe a little over half the show. When he's not on the stage, everybody else is talking about him.
I know it.
So his storyline is very important, and everybody, like you just said, everybody kind of has a web-like structure back towards the captain.
You're the nexus.
Right. So, to answer your question, I love being in that position. I've been lucky enough to be in that position actually many times, playing the lead character where you're literally carrying the show. Mm-hmm. Because, to me, it's a bigger vessel to fill. Yeah. And what I like to do when I'm creating a character is I'm filling a vessel. I'm filling a void. And if that void goes isn't just the words, but also carrying the show, bringing the other actors along, bringing the crew involved, bringing the audience in. If it brings all of that in, I'm willing to fill all of that space. That part of being a performer is really attractive to me.
So you are a facilitator as well as a talent, and that takes not only an enormous amount of energy, but you know what? It takes a certain kind of wisdom and love to do that.
I think of it as being a conduit. You're letting the energy pass through you. You're being used by the love.
Right. Whereas God love them, folks who have ego problems. It kind of bounces off of them. It starts and ends with them sometimes, but you see the difference between somebody who can truly bring an audience connection to heart, and you're one of those people.
Well, thank you very much. One of the things that I enjoy most in life, and I don't list this very often on a resume, or I never do, but I love to perform wedding ceremonies. I've performed 12 or 13 wedding ceremonies where people ask me to perform their wedding ceremony. I'm an ordained minister. And I just feel like that moment in time really captures what we're talking about. It's about being a conduit, letting the energy pass right through you. This is one of the most important moments in these two people's lives and all of their families' lives. And if you let your ego get in the way of that, you're rude. Mm-hmm. You know, so you're absolutely correct. You have to let it flow through you. It's as if you're not there. You're facilitating. You're allowing this energy to pass through you.
Bobby Sylvia, our special guest, you've seen him on stage, hopefully many times between Fall River and New Bedford, perhaps on film, perhaps in TV commercials if you've been to Ireland and whatnot, but most recently, Armin Marchand and George Charbonneau's New Bedford Festival Theater presented 25 years of bringing enrichment to this community, ladies and gentlemen, and they celebrated it with the sound of music, and Captain George Von Trapp is with us. Little did we know that you are an ordained minister.
Yeah. Now,
what led to that?
What led to that is, well, first, I don't want to make more of it than it actually is. The way I did it was...
Am I going to get struck by lightning here?
No.
Okay.
I'll dive over your head and I'll take the shot for you.
Okay.
I'm an ordained minister in the Universal Life Church, which is an online organization. It's been around since the 60s. And it's a matter of a couple of mouse clicks, okay? So that's as far as I've gone in divinity, okay?
Aha.
But the reason I got involved in it is my best friend, going back almost 10 years. Yeah. My best friend asked his girlfriend to marry him. And she said yes. And they asked me to perform the wedding ceremony.
Oh, interesting.
And I said...
That's great. I like that. That should be a full sentence. Exclamation point. Well said, Bobby.
I said, sure, but how? How would I ever do something and like that? And they said, well, we don't know, but we just came from a wedding where their best friend married them. So there's a way to do it. So I looked it up, and you can get special permission from the state government to be able to do a one-time ceremony, or you could satisfy the legal requirements of being able to perform wedding ceremonies. And so I researched the whole thing, and wedding, the legality of weddings is a per state issue, right? As we know, some states do gay marriage and some don't, right? So it's a state issue. But all states have minimum requirements as far as who can perform a wedding ceremony. And it is a court official, like a judge, or even some states allow court clerks. An ordained minister, of any religious organization that's recognized as a religious organization by the government, and a captain of a vessel so many miles out to sea can do it, and then it's recognized by all these different states. So I looked into the ordained minister part of it. That's the only one that I would be able to apply to, and I found these organizations online that let you do it, and that's why some of these organizations are in existence. They meet the minimum requirement of a religious organization to the government, right? And then they ordain people so that they are legally ordained ministers in a religious organization. Yeah. It gives them the ability to legally perform wedding ceremonies. So that's the route I went. I performed their ceremony, and then other people just kept asking me to do it. And the venues would recommend me to couples that come in. So it just went from there. Like I said, I don't advertise it or anything, but I guess I am now.
Oh my God.
But it's something that I enjoy. I think that it's a gift from God to me to be able to perform a wedding ceremony.
Isn't that something?
I have one coming up in a couple weeks, actually.
How interesting. I'm with Pastor Bobby. Brother Bobby, Sylvia, I'll tell you. I don't want to get into the spiritual, but you obviously do believe in something, someone, some God that is a part of this whole creation, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I think of it more as a flow than anything else, but that's just because that's more my sensibility. I'm truly a Pisces.
Oh, good. All right, then let me ask you this. Okay. The Pisces is finally, you've done your stint here on Earth, and you're up there at the pearly gates. What is that flow going to tell you before you enter the pearly gates, huh? What do you want that flow to say to Bobby Sylvia as you're waiting to get into heaven? What do you think that flow is going to tell you, Bobby, about life, huh? About what you've done down here? What do you think he's going to say?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't think of things in terms of a dialogue, I think of it as more of a feeling. You enter into feeling, not an interview. There's not going to be an interview process. You know what I mean?
Are you going to hear applause? Is he going to be applauding you and saying, good job in The Sound of Music? Is he going to, do you think, reward you for making people feel good, for bringing out the best in people, for sharing some of your talents here on Earth with others? I'm having a problem with this question because I don't think along these lines.
I know you. I think along the lines of you're being basically rude to God by not pursuing your interests and your talents.
That's profound.
So to me, your job is to not judge yourself. Your job is to get out of your own way. Your job is to almost be non-existent and let the gifts that have been given to you flow through you to their intended audience, which is the world around you.
Sure.
Not you. So the conversation that you're proposing, going up and being judged at the end, I would think that if there's any judgment, it's oh, you got it. You're not there to judge yourself and others. You're there to participate.
Wow. That is absolutely beautiful. It's my job to get you outside of the box of questions of what do you do and why do you do it. Bobby Sylvia is our special guest as we find out a lot more about this fascinating, wonderful person who really does add a lot of light. What are you going to do next? What are you on to? And tell us what you're doing. Well, instead of next, what are you doing in the present moment?
Well, in the present moment, I'm recharging my batteries after The Sound of Music, actually. Yeah. And I know it's several weeks in the past already, so maybe some people don't really understand what that might mean. But
tell us.
The process of putting on the show like the New Bedford Festival Theater puts on, it's a professional theater company. We rehearse for 2 weeks. We have a tech rehearsal week, which is when we put everything into the theater and work with the actual set, props, and costumes, makeup, all that kind of stuff. That's the third week. And then we go into the opening weekend. Then we have a couple of days off, and then we do the closing weekend. So in 4 weeks, we have a very intensive schedule. And not only is it demanding physically and
of course,
but emotionally, because when you're playing characters and you're falling in love with each other and you have children and you could potentially watch your daughter get shot by a Nazi in front of you, and you're going through that emotion every night, and you're feeling that is all a very tiring process. So then when you come down after that, it does take several weeks in my case to kind of ease back into normality, where your emotions aren't so far in every extreme.
Sure.
Okay. So that's what I'm doing right at the present moment. Yeah. But I also have my band going on all the time. I rehearse once a week with the band.
What band?
It's called the Rock Kings. We play classic rock and roll music, and I'm the singer.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah. We just...
you do all kinds
like
of...
the Doors.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, we do, what's that song? No matter what you are, I will always be with you.
I love it.
That sort of thing. Oh yeah, man. And it's like I'm a really high energy performer, so I like to bounce all over.
I'm shocked. Oh my goodness! So you're recharging and you're still out there performing.
Yeah. And I feel as though that helps me out a lot when I have other things going on. So that when I get the post-show blues from The Sound of Music, I also have the band going on all the time. So that's a positive all the time.
Right.
And then I have this wedding that I'm helping the bride and groom prepare for, which is a very exciting and fun thing to do. And I have my engineering, my bread and butter work going on all the time, which, I have to solve problems and answer customers and get emails out, and they have their own schedules that I'm trying to support. So there's always some kind of fire going on.
How fascinating. And then you have film credits in your resume. And I was telling yesterday some folks about your television spokesmanship for what insurance company?
It's for Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Isn't that
out
incredible?
in Ireland? Yeah, they bought into the marketplace over there. They took over a large insurance company, and they rebranded it Liberty Insurance in Ireland. And I got cast in their first commercial when they were penetrating the market over there, and the public liked the character, so they used me in a bunch more, and for 2.5 years I was the face of Liberty Insurance. It's actually the contractual part of it has just come to an end, so I don't know if they're going to continue. It's really none of my business. I just kind of sit and wait and
go with the flow.
Go with the flow, yeah.
Did you have a character name in this?
No, they just said they just said man or whatever in the original script.
Yeah.
But in the remaining scripts they called me Bobby. Actually, they never used the word the name in the commercials, but the character's name, I guess, per the script, is Bobby.
Do they know you? Are you recognizable in Ireland?
Yeah, I can't go out in public without being recognized in Ireland.
How wonderful is that?
It's pretty neat.
What do they say?
Well, a lot of people in Ireland, they pride themselves on not being like paparazzi type. There's no such thing as paparazzi over there. They don't. Okay, if Bono is sitting at the pub,
right,
nobody bothers Bono. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And they pride themselves on that.
Why do you think that is?
Well, I think they're a very proud people. I don't know if you've ever been to Ireland. That's one of the things that you kind of absorb from them right away. First off, very, very witty and bright, I find. You can get into nice, deep political conversations at the bar. And, and that's the way they are. And they're very friendly. They're very open. They're very witty. And I think all of that ties into that idea that, well, no, we don't want to bother one of our own people that is sitting over there.
Right.
But what they will do is they'll come up and, when you're kind of like, let's say, getting up from the table and leaving, somebody might get up the nerve to come over and want to take your picture with you and things like that, and then the bar owners and stuff like that. I keep saying bar, but that's what it's all about over there. The pubs downtown,
right?
And they'll do a shut-in with you, which means that after the bar closes, you get to stay, and they shut the gates, and it's like the real
hours.
Locals. Yeah. So I got to shut in a couple of times just for being
Mr. Bob.
Yeah.
Do you have life insurance?
Yeah, I think I do.
We are with Bobby Sylvia. We're finding out so much more about this fascinating person who just embraced our hearts with his performance of Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music. And when you auditioned and got the role, how did you generate the connection? What was that thought process like up here in your head and here in your heart?
To build the role?
Yes.
Well, there's a little history with me and that role. I had played it before. I had played it 12 years ago with the Little Compton Community Theater. So I had the seed. I had a lot of the lines and the songs and all that kind of stuff kind of like as a seed in my head. So I was immediately able to hit the ground running and build on all of that.
Okay.
So I had 12 more years of life experience,
right,
which included a lot of things. And I am now a father. So that changed a lot of things as far as where I could come from personally to build this character on.
Right.
But in addition to that, to answer your question about like going through the auditioning process, it is a daunting task. Auditions suck anyway. I mean, they just do. I mean, when you're a professional performer, really what you are is an auditioner.
Right.
Because you go on a lot more auditions than you go on gigs, you know?
Yes.
So, and auditioning is just a pain in the butt. I mean, you want to be 100%. You're not 100%.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and you're being judged.
Right.
You want to be in output mode the entire time.
Right.
But you can't help but hold that mirror up to yourself because you know that you're being judged.
Sure.
So it's a tough process. But luckily for me, the director decided pretty quickly to use me as the captain. So I knew fairly quickly. Armin called me up, and he said, "We would like to offer you the role of Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music. Will you accept?" And I couldn't stop laughing. That's all I could do. I was like laughing. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. Yeah, that's fine. And then immediately just start thinking about it. I broke out any material I had from the previous time that I played the part to just kind of like go through all the things and the thought process and piece it all together. And
tell us about how you and the relationship with your co-star evolved.
We clicked right away.
Okay.
Here's one very interesting thing that we learned about each other early on in the rehearsal process is our birthdays are one day apart. We're both Pisces. She's the 25th of February, and I'm the 26th of February. And as weird as that sounds, because I don't think either one of us put a whole lot of weight on that, but as weird as that sounds, we had that right away from the beginning. So as the captain and Maria are apparently falling in love in front of you, we had something very personal to us as people,
right?
Even as simple as that sounds,
yep.
that we could build on top of and on top of and on top of, and then it's a question of getting like comfortable in each other's presence. That there's a whole, part of being love interests with fellow actors. I mean,
right.
There's you got to break down anything that would impede the love process or the apparent
yes.
love process from happening on the stage, you
yes.
know? And that she was just such a pro and so good with her body and her voice, that it was like a no-brainer. It was fun to watch her put the character together. And I think she felt the same way about me. So we were really enjoying each other's process, and coming together really, really smoothly. Mm-hmm. We went out one time just one-on-one to talk just as like real people outside of the roles, and we found that we actually have a lot in common, and we think a lot similarly and things like that. And the differences we could easily apply to, well, that's what makes Maria Maria, and that's what makes the captain the captain.
Right.
So it's things like that, you know.
How about the children? What was the relationship like with all of your children?
Yeah, well, each was unique, just as each of those characters have their own unique attributes in the script. Each one of them did too. The kids playing the parts, and you got to know each one of them. It's funny, during the rehearsal process, I'll approach my fellow actors appropriately for my role.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like the kids had to see the captain as stern and distant and aloof. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning of the rehearsal process, I kind of held that demeanor, between the rehearsing time, and just kind of like as you come and go.
Yes.
So that you have that little bit of a wall, that because they need that. Yes. They need to feel that. And then just working with them, I mean, everything loosens up, and then they start jumping on your back, and everybody's having fun and all that kind of stuff, and that's just going to happen naturally.
Oh, we're with Bobby Sylvia, who starred in The Sound of Music, the New Bedford Festival Theater's 25th anniversary celebration of bringing culture and enrichment and inspiration and lifting us out of our seats for 25 years with great musicals from Broadway. And Bobby Sylvia emulated the very best of what we as human beings can strive for. That is the higher part of our humanity. I want to ask you, though, you were saying that auditions are very, very tough. You said they suck. All right. Is it because we are not willing to show our vulnerabilities and the other side of ourselves with a smile? Meaning, when I lose at an audition, I walk up and I say, you know what, thank you so very, very much for teaching me another little lesson, putting another little notch of experience into my knowledge. Without this, I didn't get the job, but without this, I wouldn't have been a little bit further in that. What is it? What is it about?
I have a different take on it.
I'd like to hear it.
Than what you're talking about. What you're talking about to me sounds like more of a job interview than an audition. And an audition is a little different than that. An audition is, think of it like this. Okay, the guy casting for the part is a carpenter, and the carpenter needs a screwdriver. And in the door walks a screwdriver, a hammer, a square, a level, and he picks the screwdriver. All of those tools are being what they interpret as a tool for this role. They're not saying, I'll try to be a screwdriver. They're saying, I'm a hammer, am I right for the part, Mr. Carpenter? And so it's a little different than a job interview. What you're doing is you're bringing in your tool. As an actor, you have a body and you have a voice, and that's about all you got. You got your mind. and then you play the part with that body and that voice and that mind. And then you might be appropriate, the right tool for the job, or you might not be. You know what I mean? So you don't fail at an audition. You don't lose a part. Oh, I mean, unless you just kind of whacked out and you're not really performing. You're not performing. You're not being the tool that you are. You know what I mean? Right. And you're not appropriate. You're not. You're
right.
not this. You know, whatever. You tripped on the way in. You broke your tooth or something. Sure. You know. But if you're truly an actor, then you play the part that you really are, and you didn't fail.
Right.
So you're right about that. You gain that experience, and yeah, you can thank the person for the opportunity to perform in front of them, and hopefully they remember what kind of tool you are for the future. You know.
Bobby, describe the connection of energy when you are on stage and you know the audience is right there, creating that bond with you.
Oh, it's great. There's nothing like that. I mean, there's nothing like that. You're enjoying the question because you know the feeling. There's nothing like that when you're just not even whole words have to come out of your mouth, but parts of words, and you can hear them breathe differently as a group with you. Like, ooh, you hear all this, even with a huge group like over 1,000 people at this Criterion. You hear them moving with you. It's like an ocean that's moving with you as you're delivering your lines. That connection is that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that feeling when you're talking about live performance.
Right.
You know, because you're not coaxing at that point anymore. You're riding it along with them.
Yep.
You know.
What is it about Bobby Sylvia that we would never know had it not been for this moment in time on the radio?
Oh, gee.
I want you to think, what is it? There has to be something about you that we don't know. We didn't know you were a minister or an ordained minister. What else don't we know about you?
I see. You know, I have a son. I'm a twin. I have a twin sister.
You have a twin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have a twin sister named Becky. Becky and Bobby.
Tell me about the relationship.
Well, we're like the best of friends, you know what I mean? We're both 42 years old. Sorry, Becky. And at this point in our lives, you know, we are what we are, and we know each other better than probably anybody else on the planet could know another person, I suppose. But it wasn't always, you know, hunky-dory. Like growing up in school, there was competitiveness, and like Becky was definitely more of like a social person and had more friends and things like that. And I had my friends, but I was more quiet and reserved.
Interesting.
And so she didn't necessarily want me hanging around with her, but those were the only parties that I knew about. So I would try to tag along with her. And
do you parallel in terms of, is she a performer?
No,
like
not
you?
at all. Not at all. No.
Because we have Kelly and Casey here, twins, who you met on the way out here. So do you have a lot of things that are not in association with one another? She's not a performer, and
right,
you are.
She's not a performer whatsoever. Her energy level on like a moment-to-moment basis is a lot higher than mine. Like
really?
She's the type to get to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning and do a morning workout, then work all day, and then do an evening workout to burn up all this energy that she has. So she has like a lot of physical energy.
Yes.
And I mean, I do have a lot of energy in a different kind of way, like all the stuff that we're already talking about. And I would say that she's definitely more outgoing, like in a group. I can be gregarious, you know, with an effort, but she's more of like a butterfly that like is just. I mean, she could just take over the room like instantaneously,
like you do.
Well, if I have to, but she does it naturally. Yeah, you know.
Whoa.
So we do have a lot of differences. Yeah.
What do we have here? What is this?
Okay. You want me to lead into this before you play?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
This is interesting. Your producer said maybe I could sing or whatever. But instead of singing live, what I wanted to do was do something really unique for the audience that they might not get a chance to like hear. This project, this is going back several years, about 7 years or so ago. There was a local group of filmmakers. It was a husband and wife team, Dawn and Larry Natalia, out of Rhode Island, and also out of Medford, Mass. And they had a film team called Team Medford. And what they would do is put together these short films and enter them into online competitions. And they were doing really well. Like there was this website based in London called Filmmaker.com. I don't know if it's still around, so I won't bother to spell it out. But they would issue a challenge every week, and filmmakers from around the world would submit these 3-minute short films to satisfy that challenge.
Interesting.
Okay? This particular one, the challenge was a secret. Your 3-minute short had to revolve around some sort of secret, and you could do any take on that you want.
That is interesting.
They chose to write an original song and make it a musical.
Wow.
And they used me for the lead role. And so what you're going to hear now, and you can't see the skit, obviously, so I'll give you an impression of what's on the screen. It's me sitting in a hospital room as a patient, like and an outpatient type thing, and the doctor comes in and he goes, "We have your blood work. You're anemic." Okay, now I'm all painted like white. I'm pale looking, and it's quite obvious when you look at me in the video that I'm actually a vampire. Okay, so the question is, why is this vampire anemic? and the words of the song go on to reveal his secret about why he's anemic. That's the background.
This is awesome.
Completely
Here we go.
original.
Here we go.
I've got your blood work.
Blood iron?
It's unusual in a male. I don't understand it.
What should I say to this MD? The secret eats away at me. It's not my heart, it's not my head. I can't be sick 'cause I feel dead. I've been around since 12 AD. I'm half as old as Larry King. I sleep all day and stay up nights. This condition really bites. I'll tell you all my secret if you really want to know. Low carb this and protein that. Tofu shakes with no trans fat. Vitamins A, B, C, D, E. But I'm still pale and I'm still weak. I've been an absent father to my 1,600 kids. A less than loving husband to my wives. I can't seem to focus, I can't keep up this pretense. Here, let me tell you why.
It might be your liver.
That's impossible, my friend.
Or maybe it's your...
Please don't even try. It's time for me to face it.
Is it something that I missed?
When you find out, you'll want to die. Oh, I don't bite and I don't drink. Other bats make fun of me. Around the crypt my name is Mud, 'cause I don't like the taste of blood. Now you know my secret. I don't like the taste of blood.
Vlad? According to these records, your health insurance expired somewhere around the 13th century.
Oh, that is classically beautiful. I made it. Oh, my God, what a great concept. Everything is perfect in that.
The song was written by Rhode Island.
It won, I hope.
It won that competition, yes. And there's more to that story. But I wanted to point out that the writer of the song is Grant Malloy Smith, and you can find him online, Grant Malloy Smith. He's actually a Rhode Island guy. He's an engineer, actually. He has his own engineering firm, but he loves music. He does scores for short films. He has CDs of his own really cool original music. He reminds me of like a Meatloaf type of guy with his original stuff.
Yes.
And Grant Malloy Smith wrote that.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yep.
You performed it.
Yep.
Folks, Bobby Sylvia, more than just Captain Von Trapp. Now, of course, one of the most lovable Draculas I've ever heard. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that was so much fun. So the add-on to that story is that the owner of that website that I was referring to, where they entered that into the competition, was so impressed with it, and it was so novel that it was a musical, that he put together funding for this team Medford, who created the project, to do a series of 10 short films, 10 3-minute episodes in a serial type of story of anything they wanted to, but use me and make it a musical.
Outstanding.
So they wrote this thing, the same team.
And use it as a musical?
Yes. They wanted the songs. They loved the idea of these songs.
Bobby, that's genius.
Yeah, right. So that same team got together and they wrote this script of an FBI agent played by me, Tommy Maroney, an FBI agent that infiltrates the mob. Okay, and it's a comedy, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious, and that did really well too. That wasn't part of the competition. Like I said, he gave them funding. The owner of that website was the producer who produced the movie Bend It Like Beckham.
Oh, sure.
And his name escapes me, and I apologize for that. But he's the one who was like, "This, you guys have a good thing going here. Here's a little bit of money. Try to do something cool." So we did, and we did that 10 short episodes, 3-minute episodes. And
they're in the can now?
Oh yeah, this is years ago. This is about 5 years ago that we completed this.
What are they doing?
It's kind of it's sitting, and they're talking about making it maybe into an actual feature and things like that. So, but things progress very slowly, and I'm just a performer. I'm just going along for the ride, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But it was all original. The same writer, Grant Malloy Smith, that wrote Anemia, what you just heard, wrote all the music for it, and every single song is of like a different genre and just as clever as what you just heard.